Trade reports are starting to heat up for the Boston Bruins as a brand new report has put a very interesting name out in the trade market for the Boston Bruins. We're going to be talking about what implications this will have on the Bruins offseason and what will be going forward with this, as well as the World Championships now over. Team USA and Jeremy Swayman win this. We're going to be talking about some very interesting numbers and a few Boston Bruins who have shown the spotlight in this tournament ahead of next season, which is going to be a very good sign for things to come. We're going to be breaking all of this stuff here down in this video today. Very quickly, before we jump into it, be sure to hit the sub button if you haven't already. We know that just over 70% of you guys watching right now are not subscribed to the channel. If you're looking for a spot for all of your Boston Bruins news, you're in that right spot. Hit the sub button, join me here on the channel. We're covering everything Boston Bruins, but once again, we have so much news to cover, and we're going to jump straight into it here with a very interesting report coming out regarding one of the Bruins' former top center, still on the team, but no longer a top center on this team. NHL analyst Michael DeRosa of NHLTR is reporting that the Boston Bruins are entertaining trade scenarios involving Pavel Zacha, an indication that the front office could be ready to make some bold changes this summer. Now, in this article, we have this kind of headline feature and don't really give much information, but when we jump into it, we have a report from Arpon Basu, a Montreal Canadiens reporter, keep in mind, and this is what he had to say on the topic. If Zacha can bring in a decent draft pick and a prospect within 2 years left on his contract, that would make a lot of sense for the Bruins to at least consider, even if it would mean dealing to the most hated, with the hated Canadiens. Even if it would mean dealing to the hated Canadiens, offers a glimpse into how seriously Boston may be approaching this. Montreal has a lot of clear need at center as well, and while Zacha might not be a seamless fit on their second line, they could do far worse. Now, when it comes out, I feel like this has a lot of credibility from Arpon Basu. First of all, he is a very credible reporter, very, very good analyst. He writes some good stuff. Obviously, Montreal Canadiens type of reporter there, but still, if you're looking for any kind of good information, he's the guy to go to. But when it comes down to it, the reports that Montreal, we know we're looking for a center, and when Pavel Zacha is being linked to this, that is a name been thrown out here. It caused a lot of stir in the Bruins community when it comes down to other teams, rivals, dealing with a trade for one of our centers. And when it comes down to it, Pavel Zacha is a guy who should be a bit better than what he was this season. He was one of these players that were certainly affected by this season of a lot of down play from the Boston Bruins. Him and Morgan Geekie, started off pretty slow. Morgan Geekie did bounce back, but Pavel Zacha this year, in 82 games, a handful of goals at 14, 33 assists for 47 points, but the numbers are kind of all over the place, I guess is a good way of calling this. You have just under 20 minutes time on ice, and at 28 years old, just turning 28 as well, with 2 years left on his contract, he is a player that still has a lot of game left in the NHL. Now, whether that will be for the Boston Bruins or not is still uncertain at this time, but when it does come down to it, he's a major option for the Boston Bruins that could return a lot of value. Now, I say could because we still don't know the idea of it yet. His value right now is, I would assume, a bit lower than what it normally could be if he were having a great season. But Pavel Zacha still has that type, that build, that player, those stats, everything that causes a good return for a center in the NHL. Now, when we go and take a look here at the offense, we know that Lindholm was there to assume that position for this year, and Morgan Geekie playing the left wing. We saw Zacha there a bit. Zacha was really all over this lineup. We knew that this year when there was no certain, structured lineup. I felt like it was all over the place. We saw that it was all over the place with Jim Montgomery to start. Then when it came to Joe Sacco, we had a bit of, common parts of lines that we saw at the end of the season. That first line really remaining the same. Pavel Zacha, for a little bit, while we saw Lindholm not play great, was that number one center. So he has been shown that he can do that. He can play that role, but is he actually a number one center? No, he's just not at this point, even playing with Pastrnak and Geekie. And we saw that he was the one laid behind on this line, and it really went to show the assists compared to his goals that he was the playmaker that those two needed and would be and generate quite a bit of value. Now, when we look at his contract here, he's 2 years left on his deal. This year still counts, so he has 1 year, which is next year, coming off of that at 4.75, and it expires in 2027 when he will be 30 years old. So whatever team, if it just say in the Montreal Canadiens in this instance, take a look at Pavel Zacha, assume that he can play a good role on their second, even first line if needed as a center or left winger. A big guy, keep in mind as well, at 6'4", 207, which in this instance would kind of link it to Canadiens just because that's where this article comes from, the Arpon Basu kind of idea of it. They need a big center, and Pavel Zacha would certainly be that fit. Now, the Montreal Canadiens have a lot of prospects, have a decent amount of picks that could be in return for this, and when it goes down to it, A contract like this may not fit the Canadiens' scheme or idea right now, but the Bruins do have enough room to be able to make some retention happen with a few other retention spots after the season. The only one who is being retained right now still is Brandon Carlo. So we can keep that in mind. We can make that work as well and make it, a few years where the Bruins eat up a little bit of cap to make a better deal in return for them. Now, with this, you can see the projected cap space there. I will pull it up a little bit bigger because it is hard to see, but $26.26 million next year. That's enough to generate a prospect coming from back from the Montreal Canadiens and maybe even a first or second round pick. If you can get a first for, a first and let's just call Fraser Minten a young, talented, up-and-coming star, you can certainly get that from the Montreal Canadiens as well. There's no doubt in my mind, and especially for a guy like Pavel Zacha. And this trade certainly brings up a lot of conversation, but it does come down to who is going where, what's happening when, and I'm excited to see what really does come out of this because, as we see here, the front office is going to be making some bold changes this summer, and that's something that we have expected at this point, but still have not had the opportunity yet to see. And, kind of looking at these stats, I just want to pull these up one more time before we head over to our next topic. Looking at these are certainly numbers on a bad team this year that can generate a first line on a good team and can generate good numbers when paired with the right players. And it almost seemed like Sacco just wasn't comfortable this year with where he was playing and how he was playing throughout the season. So let me know in the comments below. What do you want to see with Pavel Zacha? Do you think there's a trade coming? Do you think that we could get something, kind of sneaky out of him? I know there's a few other teams as well. The Minnesota Wild looking for potentially a Marco Rossi trade while they look for another center. That's another one that we can explore here, in a few more days, weeks, we get some more reports on this. But let me know what you think in the comments below here on Pavel Zacha. It certainly is an interesting look at it when the Bruins do have quite a few centers heading into this one, and someone's bound to be moved. I think that's almost a guaranteed. But let's move on to our next topic here. And I want to start this off a big congratulations to Team USA getting their first win at the World Hockey Championships. Jeremy Swayman playing a big part in this, and I know I did kind of rip him a few videos ago. That was just kind of the heat of the moment after that Norway loss, but for the remainder of this tournament, he played absolutely fantastic. Him, Andrew Peaks, and as well as Mason Lowry, all on this team. I think that they were certainly a big part in this whole team, the way that this team was playing, and it's very good to see. And when we do look at Swayman's stats here in this tournament, he took a big bounce back. And, I could even argue that a 169 goals against, 921 would have been way better if that wasn't for that Norway loss. That was just certainly a fluke, I guess we can call it. But for the remainder of the tournament, Jeremy Swayman really showed that he wanted to be here. He had those quotes coming out that, it was due to the season that he had that he wanted to play here. He wanted to show that, get that mentality clear, clean up the mind, and show that, I'm made for this. This was just a bad season. We'll get back next year. And, I think pulling these up once again, these numbers really go in contrast what could have been for this season and what hopefully will be next year. But not just Jeremy Swayman in this whole tournament. We're looking at the top players in this tournament from points. David Pastrnak and Elias Lindholm at the top of this list. Pastrnak, of course, playing with Czechia there. Got limited a little bit earlier, so that's why he had 8 games, but 15 points in 8 games. Going then to Elias Lindholm with 14 and 10. Keep in mind who you're above there. Guys like Nathan McKinnon, guys like Sidney Crosby. These are good numbers, and especially on some pretty deep teams, and, the way that this is going to be looking for the Boston Bruins next season. These are promising numbers, to say the least. It's early. We're still at the end of the season, not the start of the next one, but this is a very good sign for anything that we can take a look at this year. Anything that we saw this year, we can take a look on this and say, this is a bit better than what we have could have ended off with. So let me know what you think about all this stuff here as well. Hopefully Lindholm continues this. Do you think he will? Let me know in the comments below, as well as let me know what you think about the Pavel Zacha trade. That's all I got in this video, though. If you did enjoy, give it a like, hit the sub button. Remember, let me know in the comments below what you think about all of this here. We're going to be back again tomorrow with some more videos. We have another coaching update that we will bring you in. Another interesting option from Elliot Friedman, so be sure to stick around for that tomorrow. But that's all I got in this video. If you did enjoy, give it a like, hit the sub button as well. I'm signing out. Thanks for watching. Hope you have a great day. See you later.